So thank you for coming to my session, Pro Tips to Update and Optimize Older Blog Posts. My name is Anya Ciecierski, and I've been working in the sales and marketing in the Microsoft Dynamics channel since 1999, a crazy long time. I worked at 3 different VAR partners, most recently as the Director of Marketing at Cal Business Solutions for the last 15 years. Back in 2009, I started the ERP software blog and the CRM software blog, which are group blog sites for Microsoft Dynamics VAR and ISV partners to really use the power of the group and get more traffic to their blog posts by putting it up on a high authority site with lots of traffic. A few years ago, I started the ERP Cloud blog, which is a place for Acumatica, Sage, and NetSuite and other partners to do the same thing into blogs. So that's always been a side gig for me, but as of June 1st, I left my real job to focus on it full time. Even while I was at Cal Business Solutions, our primary marketing strategy was content marketing, specifically blogging. Now I help about 150 VAR and ISV partners with their blogging. So it's safe to say that blogging is my thing. So what we're going to talk about today is why would you want to update and optimize old blog posts? Of course, it's important to publish articles, put new URLs and keywords into the world, but working on old content gets you better results with less work. So it's like the old 80-20 rule. You'll get 80% of your traffic from 20% of your posts. And I'm still amazed at how much traffic I get from really old posts. I think to myself, why are people still clicking on this? But they are. And the point is that those old blog posts are still getting traffic, and it's a complete waste of marketing effort and potential revenue if you don't make the most of that traffic by making sure that they have somewhere good to read and that they have a good next step to go to become a client. So in the blogging world, what is old can become new again. So don't be afraid to rummage through the attic of your blogs and clean it up. There are some real diamonds in there collecting dust. You know, at about republishing old blog posts actually makes your life easier because good blog posts are hard to create. So with this strategy, you don't have to start from scratch. The core information is already there, and you're just getting it to rank higher in search results because the URL already has some backlink and authority. So proper blog maintenance, like cleaning out the attic, is not always fun, but it's an important part of having a blog and something that you should invest your time in. So I'm just curious, with the poll on the right-hand side, is it part of your strategy to update old blog posts? Yes, we are consistent. Sometimes if I find the time, or no, once I post it, it's done. What do you guys think? I figured out a way to see polls now, so I should probably be able to see your answers. Looks like most of us are in the middle, which is kind of what I expected. So what we're going to talk about today is how to find posts that you should update, how to do the actual updates, recommended resources, and then I'm going to give you some bonus tips, some real like advanced about URL recycling and something called Position Zero, plus some real life examples. Now, I will be showing some real life analytics and examples from Cal Business Solutions, which is a Dynamics GP and Acumatica VAR. But don't worry, even though I don't work there anymore, I do have their permission to share. So in this presentation, I'm going to give you options for the easy way, the quick way, and the advanced, more time-consuming way. So I know that we don't all have time to do these advanced strategies. And I'll also give you some recommendations of people that you can outsource to. So first, we're going to talk about which types of blog posts should you update. The easiest ones to start with would be posts with high traffic, and then posts that generate the most leads. And then we'll talk about 5 more kind of more advanced strategies. So when we talk about posts with high traffic, I'll say right off the bat that this is the easiest one to start with. If you don't have much time, this is the only one you need to focus on. You know, find your highest traffic posts and make them better. So we're going to talk about how to make them better later, but for now, we're just going to focus on getting a list of potential. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat. Looks like someone's having trouble hearing, but I think the rest of you are okay, so we'll keep going. So export a list of your most popular blog posts by total views for the last 30 days from Google Analytics. Or if you're an ERP or CRM software blog member, we also give you this type of traffic results on your post. If you're not getting enough results in the last 30 days, do it for 90 days or for all time. Then delete any post that was published within the last 6 months. Because remember, the idea is to target old posts that are still generating traffic. So you can sort that list in Excel by views from highest to lowest to find your top blog champions. You could also sort it to find out which ones have high traffic but low time on page, high bounce rate, low goal completions if you're fancying, track that. There's so much you can do in Google Analytics. But really, the easiest thing to do is just to track sort it by the number of page views. So that's the first area we could look at to get our potential list. The next one we could do is posts that generate leads. So high converting posts don't necessarily, get the most traffic, but once readers are there, they actually makes them raise their hand and take some action. So by driving more traffic to those posts, you could potentially get more leads. So you want to identify the pages on your website that capture leads. For example, a pricing page, a demo page, a contact us page. Generate a list of URLs that referred traffic to that page. Separate those into blog posts versus other types, and then use the strategies to get even more traffic to those blog posts. And you can, again, do that in Google Analytics by using refer path. So posts with a lot of backlinks. Now we're getting into a little bit more advanced strategies. There may be pages on your site that don't have the highest traffic, but they have another kind of SEO value. Other sites are linking to them. So there's a free tool that shows you the number of websites that link to each of your pages. It's called Google Search Console. You can hook that up to Google Analytics. You can't filter this by blog, but you can export it to a spreadsheet and then filter it from there. The problem or the limitation with this free data is that it treats every linking domain as equal. A link from a brand new site and a link from, say, the ERP software blog or Microsoft.com, which has a much higher domain authority, each count as one link. So a better report would weigh the links and show the overall ranking potential of each piece of content. So if you use a paid tool like Moz, they call this page authority or the top pages report, and it takes into account the quality and the quantity of your links. So this would show you the URLs that are very valuable, and you kind of want to treat those as like VIPs. Here's a couple of popular backlink checkers. So these would be paid tools that would help you to get that information. Now, while we're on the topic of backlink checkers, let me just add a little side note here. One of the very best and easiest things you can do to improve your website is to fix and find any error pages. It's so frustrating for people to click on a dead link. So you can use Google Search Console or one of the paid tools to find these pages and create redirects, or hire someone to do that with you. It makes users happy. It also makes search engines happy and love your site more when you do not have a lot of error pages. So please, if you do nothing else after this session, go back and fix your error pages. So the next category of blog posts that we can look at to see if there's some potentials to re-optimize would be posts with declining traffic. And I know these screenshots are a little hard to see, but you can watch this in the recorded section, or we can get you the information. But you would look for posts and then compare them by date. So for example, in the screenshot, I can see that that particular blog post is 29% less traffic this year than it was last year. So that means, and you can also see if the time on page dropped. So that means people clicked on it, but they didn't find what they were looking for. So you could ask yourself, can I give them what they're looking for? If it used to be good, could I make it good again if I just updated it? Another more advanced strategy would be to see the posts that were shared often. So Unfortunately, most social networks don't really want you to know who specifically is sharing your posts, so they make that information hard to find. A tool that you can try is called BuzzSumo. When you plug in a link, it will show you a lot of data about the social influence of that link. And one of the buttons you can click is See Sharers, but that's only in the paid version. But this button will show you a selection of the people who have shared the link. It's kind of more heavily weighted towards influencers. It's a little kludgy, but you could at least try it. You could also, if you have the graphic that's on the right of the screen, if you have one of those on your blog, you could potentially see which blog posts were shared often. Speaking of influencers, do we have influencers in the ERP and CRM channel? You bet we do. Get in with the right people, and when they share your content, it makes a huge difference. So a little insider tip would be to start by wooing the MVP community, for example, who are always looking for more content to share. Another type of blog post that you could look at is ones that were on page 2, how you can get ones from page 2 to page 1. So this is something you need to use keyword research to do. For example, in this example, I have compare Microsoft Dynamics GP versus Acumatica is on page 2. So could I find an existing blog post and optimize it for that keyword and then bump my blog post up to page 1 for that keyword? A simple and cheap keyword tracking tool for SEO is Keyword Hero. It connects to Google Analytics and shows basic reports that are good for marketing managers. For professionals, something like SEMrush is very good. So when I was at Cal Business Solutions, we actually outsourced this to someone, and her name was Olive SEO. Really great gal to work with. And she would give us these nice reports every month that had all of our keyword research, showed us which ones were going up, going down, tell me which keywords I should use to write my blog posts. And I really enjoyed working with her. And while I'm giving recommendations, it would be unfair of me not to also recommend Interactive Limited, also worked with us at Cal Business Solutions for the last decade or so. They are also my business partners with the ERP and CRM software blogs. So I'm the marketing side and they're the technical side. And while Olivia was great with numbers and data and reports, I feel like Dave Foreman at Interactive Limited and his team have a much better understanding of our industry and what really works. And while Olivia sticks more to the rules of SEO, Dave does SEO a little bit more like an art form based on his experience. So he has great results. So from a strategic point of view, I recommend Interactive Limited, but if for maybe just a less expensive, real keyword data driven, Olive SEO is great as well. All right, something else we can also aspire to is position 0. What is better than page 1 is to be the featured snippet, which the cool kids call position 0. And you'll notice here's one of my Cal Business Solutions posts that made it, which was actually written a long time ago, but we updated it for 2020. So here's the interesting thing about featured snippets that show up at the top before the search results. You can earn a featured snippet spot even if your content isn't ranked in the #1 spot. In fact, Google often pulls featured snippets from results that are ranked anywhere on page 1 of the search results. So if you have content that's ranked on page 1, but the search results for your targeted keywords display a featured snippet from someone else, updating your post and optimizing it for that featured snippet could earn you the position 0 spot, which can significantly drive traffic to your site. So first get on page 1, then go for the snippet. And I'll talk about the snippet a little bit more in detail later on in the presentation. So something else that we should look for while you're kind of doing this content audit is problem posts. Are there posts that are actually hurting you? It's embarrassing if a prospect mentions a post they found with old pricing or worse, an old fixed fee offer, and you have to kind of backpedal. This is a great reason to have an inventory list of all of your blog posts with some keyword tags so that you could find them easily. Perhaps you blog about a specific add-on product that you provide, and in your inventory list, you have a column for that keyword. If you stop supporting that product, you could go back then and change all of those blog posts. So definitely recommend just in Excel have a good inventory list. If you find problem posts, please do not be too hasty to delete. It leads to error pages. Delete your blog posts very sparingly. Only delete posts that are irretrievably wrong, outdated, damaging to your brand. Otherwise, we want you to do a 301 redirect. Okay, so now we know what we're looking for. You've got a list of finalists or several lists. You could be the most popular, the most backlinks, whatever strategy you choose. You can also kind of eyeball the most popular ones and see which stick out to you as glaringly old. So now we want to choose a number that you can handle, perhaps the top 10, and it's showtime. So we're going to talk about how to update your blog posts. And first, we're going to talk about the easy ways. So check and fix any broken hyperlinks. Fix any typos, grammar, spelling issues. I really like Grammarly, which is a great tool for checking your spelling and grammar. Is there any content that's no longer accurate? Perhaps one of the questions you asked is about the cost of an add-on tool that's now included in the main product. Are there offers? Are there product names that are outdated? With Microsoft, this happens almost weekly, right? Pay close attention to any research or stats you've included. See if they've been updated, if there's new research that's come out. Replace any outdated graphics. This could be screenshots, for example, of old versions. Consider adding some new images to kind of update the visual appeal, especially the thumbnail or the featured image that shows on social media when you share this post, because this may draw people in who have read the old content, but they might pass right over it because they associate that image with the old content. You could also add related articles, even just as bullet points on the bottom of the post. If it's been a while since you wrote it, it's almost a guarantee that you have written new related content since the original post was published, and you can link to it when you're updating the blog post. Make sure you have a strong current call to action. That could be a graphic. If you're short on time, why not just slap in a little banner in there that has directs people to take a next step. And then, the last thing, as long as you're in there, delete any spammy looking comments, or better yet, turn off comments altogether. Sometimes can be even better. While you're doing this, updating, don't forget the most obvious things. You need a strong title for your blog post. People don't spend enough time on this. So you want to optimize it for readers and for search engines. And I could honestly spend a whole 45-minute session probably just talking about titles. But suffice to say, make sure you have a good, strong title. I always like to tell people, make sure just in your title, if people only saw the title, nothing else, it would be enough for them to click on it, and they would know exactly what it's about, who should read it, and what they're going to learn. Also, make sure you have a strong meta description. In the example of the screen, the search phrase I used was Dynamics 365 versus NetSuite. So I venture to say that the first example has the better title, because I love the word compare. Search engines also love the word compare. However, the second example from Ciecierski, which is a Dynamics partner, they actually, I'd say, have the better meta description. Because if you see underneath, they say a full sentence. It includes the word compare, reviews, pricing, and more. So they've really thought that out to exactly what they should put in that meta description. If you don't use a meta description on your blog post, Google will just pull the first sentence of your blog, and oftentimes that can be kind of vague, doesn't have a lot of good keywords. So spend some time updating your meta descriptions really on all your blog posts. So now if we want to get to more advanced strategies, so you can optimize this blog post for your target keywords, and that could have changed from when you wrote it to now. And that's why it's very important to do, refresh your keyword research. If you can, if it doesn't sound too robotic, make sure that you have the blog's have the keyword in the main title, the introduction, once in a subheading, but don't force it. If it feels awkward to use that many target keywords, I always sacrifice keywords to good readability, personally. So you also, like I said, improve the title and the headlines. add a new video, a chart, a graphic, go that extra mile and add something else. You can add alt text to the images. Is there something that's outdated? You know, perhaps you used a funny illustration about the 2012 Olympics. Change that to just Olympics or remove it. And anything that has dated references, years, things like that. And then think about if you could expand on this topic with new research and increase the length of the post. Google likes longer content now, so can you actually go ahead and expand this post that you already know readers like? So there's a few questions here that you and your team could kind of brainstorm to think, how could we make this post even longer, better, deeper? So the next step is you want to republish the post with the current date. So if you do this, it's a good idea to add an editor's note to the bottom to kind of clarify it for readers, especially if they're old comments that might confuse a new visitor who see the current date. And it kind of provides more information to people who maybe read it the first time around and they're wondering why they're seeing it again. Also, you could promote the post again. A good tool for this is something called Missing Letter, which will actually create little snippets that you can use with the blog post on social media. And it gives you a bunch of them. You can go through and click yes or no, which ones you like, and it will automatically schedule them for you. So it can really be a time saver when you're promoting your blog post. Next, you want to ask Google to re-index the post. So it's like telling Google you want them to search it again and see all the fancy improvements that you made. You would do this with Google Search Console, which is free. You just have to add it to your Google Analytics. Now, a big warning here, do not change the URL. Your URL has power. We were already talking about how annoying error pages are. You need to keep the same URL, especially if that's got links coming to it. That's, you know, you'd be losing that power. So you need to test your blog platform before you republish to see, does it keep the same URL or not? Like WordPress sites usually don't. You'd have to do, you know, a manual redirect or something. For the ERP software blog, for example, our site automatically creates a redirect for you with a new URL. But just make sure that that original URL is saved. Now, what do you do if you have completely outdated posts? And there's two options. You know, for example, this post, top features in Microsoft Dynamics 2010. You're never going to be able to make that new. It's an old product. So the two options are, you can do the easy way, which is just to keep the post as it is and link out to updated information. I mean, who knows? People are still out there that are using 2010. They still want to read this post. But at least with a link, you can drive them to new information, maybe offer them your upgrade services or whatever. The second strategy that's more advanced is called URL recycling. So what this means is, by writing a new article where an old article used to live, you're basically recycling the original URL. If that URL has been linked to from other websites, you're kind of leveraging the existing authority, which could be substantial, like we've said. So before you write a new article, ask yourself, can I recycle an old URL with outdated information? It'll have a natural advantage. Again, add a note to the reader, I think, is always a good idea. Now, if you want to get really advanced, there's another strategy for URL recycling. I admit I've never even done it because it takes such a time commitment, but I thought it was very interesting and I thought I'd share. You can publish short form content that is likely to attract links, like an infographic, important news. You just want to drive links to that page. For example, I know the first person, you know, that publishes an updated Microsoft Dynamics roadmap graphic tends to get a lot of traffic, or new pricing, new news, if you're the first one. So the strategy is, after that URL has attracted links, which could be months or even years later, you recycle it by then writing a long form keyword phrase focused article at that same URL. Now, the page will have both authority and relevance, which are the two main search ranking factors. This strategy might be slow, I mean literally a year or more, but could allow you to target some pretty impossible to rank for keyword phrases. So if anyone tries that, I would love to hear it. URL best practices. The future you will thank you later if you do these things. Never put a number in a URL in the actual link. Instead of best e-commerce tools 2019, just make the URL best e-commerce tools. Leave off the 2019. Never put a year, excuse me, that was, yeah, a year and a number. A number would be, 7 inventory best practices. That's bad because if you update it next year, it might have 12 best practices. So again, there would be a mismatch between the URL and the title. So just leave that number out of the URL. And don't put a format type in a URL. So, if I did Acumatica versus Dynamics infographic, well, later on, I might want to publish an article on that URL. So don't have it in the URL. Every article's URL should be short, simple, descriptive, no numbers, no formats. You can absolutely put all those things, number, year, format, type, in the title. Just keep them out of the URL. They do not have to match. And when you publish your blog post, you have control over what that URL is. Also, the future you will thank you if you give your blogs a long shelf life with some smart editorial choices. So avoid any transient social trends that could be potentially embarrassing later on, very quickly. Emphasize saying things like March of 2015 instead of March of last year. Somebody reads it later in March of last year, that doesn't match. Or back in 2014 instead of 2 years ago. So again, I have no idea what you can do to keep the names of Microsoft products current. I think nothing. So next we're going to talk about the Holy Grail a little bit more in the search engine world, the featured snippet. So featured snippets, like we said, appear above research results. They're larger, they're more prominent, they earn you more credibility. If people do a voice search, it actually, reads it back to them. Unfortunately, there's no way to guarantee that Google will use your content as a featured snippet. Google has algorithms, they change all the time. Nobody can really understand exactly how to conquer them, and not every search has a featured snippet. One stat that I read said only about 19% of searches have a featured snippet. However, if you have content that's already ranked on page 1, but somebody else has that featured snippet, you can try to get it. So a few suggestions to try would be to frame your topic as a question. So instead of saying best practices for user security in Dynamics 365, you could say how to set up user security in Dynamics 365. You can use the Google people also ask section to figure out, kind of what verbiage people are using out there. It's really worth spending some time on this for keyword research. So then you want to ask the featured snippet question in Optimize, and then answer it immediately with short text. And they say that the sweet spot is about 40 to 60 words is the sweet spot. Or a snippet can also be, in addition to a paragraph, it can also be a table, a list, or a video. So like a bullet point list or an ordered list, 1, 2, 3. So again, if anyone gets that position 0, I would love to hear about it. All right, another strategy. Once you have found your top performing posts, you want to get more mileage out of them, right? So one tip that I have for you is to rewrite them and publish them on another site. There's lots of sites out there that would like to have your content. For example, the ERP software blogs, the CRM software blogs, the group blog sites. So on the ERP software blog, we actually offer this service to our members for $75 per post because we found that it's very hard to rewrite your own content. You like it the way that you wrote it the first time. So to have an experienced writer do that for you can be helpful. So we do that, like I said, $75 per post, or it's included one free every month for kind of our higher level members. Our writer makes sure that it's less than 50% the same, and we use a tool called Copyscape to check this out. But you can also do that on your own. So it's just a way to get 2 articles out of 1. Also, if you have a strong topic, think about, what else could I do with this? Could I make it in some other secondary format, like a video, an infographic? Basically, you have all this research that shows you what people want to read, and that's what you want to give to them. So I'll make you an offer. If anyone on the call would like to sign up for the ERP or CRM software blog by July 1st, I will give you a free rewrite. And not to exclude my existing members, if there's anyone on this call that's one of my members, mention this session and I will also give you a free rewrite. So $75 value. Little shameless plug that I learned from Bob McAdam. All right, now we're going to go to a couple real life examples. So in this post from Cal Business Solutions, this would always irk me. This post got, 100 times more traffic than all of our other posts, and it has absolutely nothing to do with selling Dynamics GP or Acumatica. It's how to do disk cleanup to make your computer run faster. But people love it. So what can I do with this post to try to at least capture some of that traffic? What we decided to do is we put a banner at the bottom that we hoped would attract people's attention. And we also put links within the article to say, hey, this would be good for you if you're running Dynamics GP or things like that. And I've also asked this IT consultant to make sure that this post is regularly updated so that it has screenshots from the most current versions and things like that. Speaking of, I had someone else give me a tip about something like this. If you have a post that really doesn't relate to your business, but it still gets a ton of traffic, could you possibly find someone else to partner with that does focus on that? For example, maybe in this post, I could partner with a local IT company and say, hey, do you need some computer IT help? Contact, the itpros.com or whatever it may be, and maybe somehow there'd be some reciprocation there. Another example from Cal Business Solutions would be a popular post, but the content is outdated. So I'd want to confirm the links are still working. This one has a PDF download. Definitely want to make sure that the information in there is still accurate. I would update the screenshots, update the dates that are in the text. And this is actually a really short post, even though it gets a lot of traffic. So I'd want to see if I could add more content on there for Google to index and also add a strong call to action. So, it could be that if a lot of people are looking at this, they might need our training services. They might need, an upgrade. They might need a move to Acumatica, whatever it may be that's your company's goal. So this example is from one of my ERP software blog members. So this post has high traffic, but it's focused on an old version. So I would suggest to them that they update the screenshots and the dates, confirm that all the links are working, update the title, alert the reader of the changes, republish it, or they could recycle this URL with completely new information that has to do with Microsoft Dynamics 365. Really depends on their goals. I will also mention here, I know it's a little snarky, but Columbus Global is a huge company. So if their marketing department doesn't have time to go back and optimize old blog posts, then you really don't have to feel so guilty about it. Another one is, again, from one of our ERP software blog members. This post gets high traffic, but it's about 2 years old. They could still keep the same title, but they'd want to update the screenshots, the dates, confirm everything is working, the links, and then they can republish it with the current date. And the next example I have is a high number of domains linking to the post, but outdated information. So when I ran the Moz report for the ERP software blog, I can see that there's a lot of websites that are linking to this post, and it's from 2016. We know a lot's changed since then. So update the screenshots, the dates, confirm everything's working. Again, they could do a complete rewrite of this one, maybe keep the title the same, but really be able to kind of talk about the most recent version of Dynamics 365. All right, so the action items from our session today, getting towards the end, would be to do regular reviews, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly. Set a timetable to review your old blog posts, because like cleaning out the attic, it's not going to get done unless you actually put it on the to-do list. You can also set up Google Analytics reports to automatically be sent to you every month as PDFs. and that can be your trigger to do this project. It works really well. When you update old blog posts, a lot of the work is already done for you. And even if you're updating an old post that requires a complete rewrite, which maybe it will, at least it's one less idea that you have to come up with. So it really can kind of maximize your blogging and marketing efforts. So last thing I want to tell you, again, shameless plug, if you're not a member of one of my group blog sites, I would definitely recommend that you go to groupbloggers.com and check it out. It is a place for Microsoft Dynamics, VAR, and ISV partners to really get more traffic to their blog posts by kind of using the power of the group by being on a site with high domain authority to drive more traffic. And now we'll get back to questions. Whew, we did it.
You did it. It was a great session. I was trying to take notes while it was going on. I'm going to have to listen to the recording, though I'm not a good multitasker. There's a couple of questions that came in. One of them, and these are in no particular orders as I find them. Does Google like long posts or a variety of short and long posts?
That's a good question. You know, it's really good to write for Google, but sometimes you just don't have the time, right? So while I think that, yes, Google likes long posts, we don't always have time for that. And as I showed in my examples, I've got some very short posts that get the most traffic. So yes, the internet will tell you, experts will tell you that Google likes long posts these days. I still believe that as long as a post is at least 300, maybe 500 words, it can still get a lot of good traffic. That's my experience.
Another question that had some debate in the chat while you were talking was, how do you get consultants to help with blogs? Do you give them incentives?
Ooh, excellent question. So I know a lot of companies that will resort to bribery. I think Jovico might have been one of them at one point that will have contests. I don't know that money works as well as competition. So if you can actually post blog articles under their name and then show them maybe at a sales meeting, hey, look, Joe's post got a lot more traffic than Mike's post. That can kind of inspire some healthy competition. But a tip that I always give to people to make it easier for your consultants is to record and transcribe. So I know that I would never get a billable consultant to write a blog post. It just won't happen. But I know that that's where all the meaty, good subject matter expertise is. So what I would do is come up with a list of topics with my team or myself, and then maybe call the consultant and say, I want 10 minutes. I'm going to ask you one question. Tell me, what's a question a prospect asks you in every demo of this product? Or what's 5 reasons Dynamics 365 is better than NetSuite? And then just let them talk. And I record that. The tool that I use is called rev.com. And a couple hours later, I get a transcription back. And then that's a very good basis for a blog post that I can then, craft that into a blog post myself without having to know what all the technical stuff is that they were talking about. That would be my tip.
I think those were all the questions that I saw out there. We're on time. So I think if there's any other questions, type quickly, or else we will give you 15 minutes to get into ready for your next session. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and please do come back on time for our next session. Okay.
We're getting thank you, so I think we're gonna say see you soon at the next session. All right, bye, everyone.